It is Wednesday night. It's August 23rd, 2023. Brand new episode of the Kicking Out Podcast. I'm Tanner Lee, along with my co-host Austin Shepard. Our other co-host Paul Zartman's a little under the weather tonight, so he will not be joining us. But don't worry, don't fret. He has sent me his all-in predictions, so we can
change them.
We can
do whatever we want with them.
Paul's got some interesting ones, so we might not want to change them.
All right, we're out.
But thank you, everybody, for being patient with our little longer than usual intro tonight. Pro Wrestling World lost a true legend today in the passing of Terry Funk at the age of 79. Ship, I'm not saying this just because you're older than me, but you are probably more familiar with Terry Funk's in-ring work than I am. I mean, I know he competed in about every promotion you could think of. He's in the Hall of Fame, WCW, WWE. ECW doesn't have a Hall of Fame, but he'd be in that. I think he's in NWA, maybe. He wrestled all over the world. What are some of your fond memories of Terry Funk?
So first of all, cheers to him.
Absolutely.
I don't normally drink beer, but I'll tell you why I'm going to drink a beer. So, if you remember a little documentary called Beyond the Mat.
Yes, sir.
Terry Funk was one of the guys they followed. And as they started that documentary following Terry, it was when he was called up by Paul Heyman to ECW. And one of the famous lines, and it could be in the first 10 minutes of the documentary, the first 10 minutes they aired Terry, was, "Paul, I'll come up there, but I'm going to break your ass." Meaning the money. And he went up there and he led ECW through their first pay-per-view. And Paul's been quoted saying it on numerous docs. I think he might even have said it in that doc. There would be no ECW if there was no Terry Funk.
Right.
So if you want to snowball that, and if we remember all the documentaries about ECW and WWF at the time, there'd be no Attitude Area without Terry Funk.
That's a good point.
That's the stuff. That's the modern day stuff. That doesn't talk about what he did in the NWA in the territory days before ECW. Because when he went to ECW, let's be honest, he was past his prime.
Sure.
He was an older gentleman, but he would not quit. He would not quit. In that documentary, he had his last match at some fairgrounds, which was rare that all three brands at the time sent talent to do this farewell match. And when I say all three brands, ECW, obviously, WCW, and WWF at the time. In fact, he wrestled Bret Hart in the main event. And this is just a tidbit from that. There was one thing before that match Terry was worried about. I don't know if you watched that I've watched that documentary 100 times. One of my favorites.
Yeah, I saw it actually all the way through about 2 years ago for the first time.
Terry was worried about one of the main sponsors making sure those guys had ringside seats. And if you remember, it was the Texas Chevy dealers. Me being a car dealer, breaking kayfabe, right? I sell cars. But he was worried about the Texas Chevy dealers, which obviously was comical to me.
Yes.
Want to make sure those guys had good seats. But now if you go, back before ECW in the NWA and territory dates, he was very well respected. Had some great, great matches with Ric Flair. The famous T-shirt boot match with Dusty Rhodes. Was it that Dusty Rhodes sucks eggs?
Dog suck an egg.
Just obviously a legend in our sport. His stuff over in Japan with Mick Foley, a.k.a. Cactus Jack, that was an acquired taste, but they paid him a lot of money to do it. And when he came back, he snowballed that into obviously what he did in ECW and in WWE. as Chainsaw.
Chainsaw Charlie. That's where I first remember him.
And I'll never forget, he was in a tag match with the New Age Outlaws, and there could have been other teams in that match, but Billy Gunn and Road Dogg pushed him off the stage in a dumpster, and he said, "There's a human body." Or JR was, "By God, there's a human body in there," or something along those lines.
What wasn't it? Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie. I'm gonna look that up.
Both of them were in there, but yeah, it was. I remember that kid. It was Terry Funk with some pantyhose over his face. Was Chainsaw Charlie.
It was Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie versus New Age Outlaws dumpster match.
Yeah. And he pushed him off the stage. Which was one of the softer bumps those two knuckleheads have taken in their life.
That's saying something.
They had a steel dumpster to protect them. So, yeah, very influential in some of the guys nowadays. I know we all know we talk about this. Eddie Kingston is like that's his GOAT, And we'll talk about Eddie later tonight. But yeah, it was a great loss, huge loss. Let me rephrase it, not great, huge loss to the wrestling world. I know as of a year or two ago, he was sending out videos saying, "Hey, look, I'm deteriorating. Quit sending me stuff to sign and stuff," and I can respect that.
Sure.
He wanted to be peaceful in his ranch down there in Texas, and bless his heart. Hopefully, he went peaceful. And cheers to Terry Funk.
Absolutely, cheers to the Funkster indeed. And another thing he's famous for is he was part of the Hell in the Cell King of the Ring match with Mankind and Undertaker. When impromptu, when they thought Mick Foley was pretty hurt, which he was hurt, Terry Funk goes up to the Undertaker and says, "Hit me." So Undertaker chokeslams him, and that was not planned at all. I mean, that was just on the fly. Terry Funk, being a veteran, knew the show had to go on. So, yeah, he wasn't active in the ring at that time, but still part of one of the most historic matches of all time.
Yeah, and he probably knew Mick was legit hurt and had to buy some time.
So that's after he went through the cell.
Yes.
The top of it in the chair, which they said was worse than when he went off it into the announcer table.
So, that's when the tooth went through the nose cavity.
Oh.
And then the camera goes on and Mick smiles
because he's nuts. Even though he is on a documentary, he said he wasn't trying to smile. He was trying to see if he had a hole in his lip with his tongue. So
he smiled. It's Mick.
Yeah. He's just a wee bit crazy. More back then than now, but
and if you remember on that same documentary that we're talking about with Terry Funk, that was when him and The Rock Mankind and The Rock had the I Quit match at a Royal Rumble, and he took 20 unprotected chair shots to the head.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah. In fact, they have the guy that was producing that documentary plays a voicemail that Mick had left him after the match, and you could tell Mick is not in.
Yeah, his brains were scrambled.
He's not in the same city that his body was in.
Well, that his wife and kids were there, and it was hard to watch. I mean, it was as real gets there, the emotions. So, but yes, cheers to Terry Funk in the memory of a legend. It's always rough when we lose a legend in the wrestling world, but this one seemed to really hit a lot of people around the internet harder than we've seen some recently. So.
Well, and he was such a likable guy. All the documentaries he did. How could you not like the guy? He loved to fight. He loved to bleed, but yet he'd love to go backstage and talk to everybody and drink a beer with his high pitched voice. And he just, So I have a little bit of a prediction that is not on our predictions for All In. And my prediction is during this stadium stampede, Eddie Kingston comes out with striped trunks. If you remember, Terry Funk always had the white and black striped tights, I should say, full length stripes. And then he would have the black trunks over those stripes, right? Eddie Kingston wears that this Saturday, this Sunday.
I like that. I figured he'd do something in tribute to Terry Funk. I like that prediction a lot. I like that a lot. But Ship, what are we drinking tonight? I saw you had some sort of beer, but I couldn't tell.
So funny story. When I thought about this tonight, obviously I have Old Faithful over here, which we'll show that way we can tag Kettle One, so I can get all that free merch and all that free vodka and stuff like that. Well, I'm still waiting for Kettle One, but I'm thinking one of the most memorable moments of that documentary we're talking about, where they follow Terry Funk through that first ECW pay-per-view, and it's at the ECW arena, so there's really no backstage. It's a freaking bingo hall, right? And Paul Heyman's rallying the troops, and the main event goes, and shit goes haywire. That they blow the transformer like 3 seconds after the match is over, and they're back in the back locker room area checking Terry Funk, and he's got all this blood all over him, and he's coughing up blood, and he's just like, "Look, it's not internal injuries. It's I swallowed some blood," and he's drinking a Coors Light of a bottle that we could never get anywhere. It was one of those short, fat, stubby bottles of Coors Light, and he's just chugging this, like coughing up blood, like it's fine, I swallowed this stuff, and these paramedics have blood all over him, and I'm like, I don't have Coors Light in the house, not a Coors Light drinker, but I have a beer that's not Bud Light, so I said, all right, I'm gonna have a beer tonight in memory of Terry Funk. So next closest thing to Coors Light, we had a little Luke Combs Miller Lite. I didn't know these were Luke Combs signature cans, but Luke Combs, tag us. We'll make you a little more famous than what you are. Okay.
Yeah, we'll help. We'll help a little bit. But it's funny you mentioned the stubby bottles. That's what Coors Original. Their bottles only come in that now. Is the short stubby bottles, but Coors Light doesn't. Yeah.
Well, the Coors Original that you're talking about,
the Banquet. Yep.
Is the same bottles as that Jamaican Red Stag bottle. It's like
the red stripe. Yep.
But if you look in that documentary, it's a stubby fat bottle and it has a little slender neck. I have never seen it. In fact, honestly, if I was 21 of the age of when that match happened and would have drank, I probably would have been able to get those bottles. But I have always stuck out of my mind every time I see that scene. So I'm like, tonight I gotta have a beer.
I like it.
I'm not the biggest beer drinker in the world, but I can do it for the Funkster.
I am boring tonight. No alcohol for me. I played in a golf outing today, and it was like 112 out, and I felt very dehydrated. So Arnold Palmer and water for me tonight. So
you got a rough gig there, Tanner.
Oh, it was real rough, but I've played in some hot weather. Today might have topped them all though. It was pretty brutal. Pretty brutal, but still better than sitting in the office. So, all right. Well, let's go right into Dynamite now that we got all our tributes for Terry Funk out of the way. And I thought this was a great show. I would throw that out there. I thought this was one of the best, if not their best, go-home show AEW's put on in the 4 years of existence. Thought it'd start off pretty interesting tonight. We had the Elite come out, Carry On My Wayward Son. They're ready to take on the Guns and Juice Robinson, but we never got that match. We got the entrances, but then there was a lot of commotion. Jay White gets involved. We see Konosuke Takeshita get involved. FTR gets involved to make sure the Young Bucks are going to be as healthy as can be going into All In. So it was melee to start off, but just building stories, building the matches up for Sunday. I thought it was great.
Normally, I would not like this type of opener,
right?
Because it was a shit show.
Yeah,
But the more we thought about this, right? And you made a good point. The more it told a better story for this weekend. So if we're gonna have a no contest, as I think was what they said on commentary. If we're gonna have a no contest, they did it well this way. Got everybody involved, got all the players involved, so it worked.
The only thing I was wondering the whole time is where's Hangman?
Yeah, we didn't get no Hangman and no Ibushi either.
No Ibushi, which I guess that I didn't put that together till right now. I guess that one doesn't surprise me as much as Hangman, but no Hangman
I
tonight.
thought we'd get a Bushi Hangman before we got FTR.
Yeah, but I do like how FTR the last 2 weeks has come out to make sure the Young Bucks are in its best shape as possible. They don't want any excuses if they're to beat the Bucks on Sunday.
Correct.
And nice to see FTR get a big pop. I mean, and Tony Khan didn't shy away from it in the media call yesterday. They're keeping up with the latest with Cash Wheeler and his arrest situation. There's a lot to still be played out there, so we'll see.
I'll talk about that when we do the FTR Bucks segment. I know we're gonna zip through this show for the predictions later, but
Right.
I got a couple comments on that.
Oh yeah. But always good to see FTR on TV. Even though it's interesting, they're supposed to be colliders and collision guys, but the last few weeks we see them on Dynamite. And same goes for Bullet Club Gold. So we're starting to see a lot of crossover, just not the Pepsi Phil here yet, at least.
So he got a little bit of a boo when they brought his name up tonight.
Yes, he did. We then see MJF shown backstage with Renee Paquette, who was a star of tonight's show. Renee was everywhere like she is always. He admits his trunks will be tight as he loves the idea of fans cheering for him. He wants the fans to get a pint, get pissed, and cheer on their favorite chav, he says. He promises he will buy everybody a pint if they do. However, he does admit to feeling pressure for the Sunday as it doesn't happen without the people who paved the road prior. He lists Hogan, Cena, Triple H, Undertaker. Once again, I like how AEW doesn't shy away from mentioning people from WWE or WWE itself. I really respect that. He says he's standing on the shoulders of giants, and if he wins, he might become one himself, so he's ready for the pressure. MJF says he's never had a genuine friend before, and Adam Cole has made him a better person. He taught him how he could trust and let his guard down. He calls Cole a brother. He says brothers push and fight each other, but they hug it out. He asks fans to be vulnerable with him, and he promises they will be rewarded as he is their scumbag. So purely babyface promo here from MJF. And one thing I forgot to mention in the notes, Renee was showing different highlights of him and Cole's relationship. In different moments, it looked like MJF was going to turn, and he had to kind of respond to those. So I thought it was really well done.
Good segment. This was a better segment than the Cole segment we'll get to later. The thing that stood out was when he said he'd buy everybody a pint, and Renee said, "Really?" He leaned in and says, "No, I'm going to have that Mark Tony Khan do it." Oh, cut that out. That stuff that he always says, that stuff about Tony Khan, all started back when his contract gimmick came up, and he's going to ride that through this year into next year, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
So at points you're thinking, he's going to be heel. Coming out of this promo, he wants you, AEW wants you to think that he's going to come out as the monster face. And then, I mean, we might as well go right into I know we're going to skip ahead, but you might as well go into the Cole segment.
Yeah.
He gets frustrated with the video package and doesn't want to talk.
Yeah, let me find the notes for that here.
I love that I can just completely get you off of
Yeah, that's okay.
itinerary.
That's okay. I gotta find it here. Well, we also saw Renee with Roderick Strong in the Kingdom too, and they said at the end of the night we'll see who the real MGF is and the real Adam Cole is, which is interesting. All right, where are my notes for this segment? Here we go. Okay, yeah, same kind of similar to her sit down interview with MJF, showing moments with Cole and MJF, but moments that looked like Cole was going to turn his back on MJF. But before that, Cole says he thanks MJF for reminding him who the real Adam Cole is, and he'll love him forever for doing that. He says he got into wrestling to be the best wrestler, and the AEW World Championship solidifies that, which is why he needs to win the match, and he will. Then he sees footage of issues he's had with MJF, but he says he's done. He questions why people find out so hard that they can be friends. There are no issues between him and Max. It's pretty short and sweet compared to Max's. Different side of Cole. A little frustrated, passionate, little heelish vibes.
Well, heated. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless Tony Khan wants to throw you the biggest swerve in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's built this up where he wants MJF to be the biggest jerk, but yet the biggest pop. And
Right.
I think we can see that. I think that can work. I think that really could work as maybe the biggest guy in professional wrestling. And I'm not saying he can overtake Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns right now is strictly a heel.
Right.
Not that he doesn't get an okay pop, because people are excited to see him.
Right.
But he is a strict heel. How could you have a guy get a massive pop, like roof blowing pop, but still come out and insult the crowd and get cheered? I don't know if we've seen that in a while.
Yeah, I'm just so. I mean, this story has been one of the best stories AEW's ever told, because I see this could go in so many different directions. I want to believe that MJF is babyface and ready for it, but I'm watching tonight. My wife was watching with me. I'm like, I feel like he's gonna stab us all in the back on Sunday. Like, I don't know. I'm so conflicted, and yet, I think it was yesterday. It was live yesterday, but the podcast came out today. He was on Busted Open for an exclusive town hall. He sits down with LaGreca, pure baby face, explains the story, how he got into wrestling. I mean, just a whole different side of him than we've seen in his previous engagements with Busted Open. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I can see this going in so many different directions, and the Kingdom and Roderick Strong. How are they going to get involved? If so, how? It's all very compelling. It's worth the buy for Sunday.
It is, and you look at the Kingdom and Strong. If they get involved, it has to be on Cole's part. You cannot. If you want to put a rocket behind Max, which Max has darn near got one already,
yeah,
you can't involve those guys with him.
No, and they tried that with the Pinnacle, and it didn't work.
Yeah, let me rephrase it. You could not put him back into a faction.
No, I agree.
He's too strong to be in that. He's got to be on his own.
I agree. I mean, they could technically cost Cole without MJF being involved, or they could help Cole, and Cole does whatever it takes to win. Cole could turn heel. This face run right now is the first face run we've seen out of Adam Cole in many years. There's just. I'll save the rest for my predictions. I'm trying not to give away my prediction, but it's just very compelling. I think it's a great story they've told the last few months, and like personally, selfishly, I want these two guys to keep being friends for a couple more months, but I don't know. We'll there's a lot to play out on Sunday, so. We then got a pretty good match, in my opinion. Jon Moxley and Rey Fenix. You and I, we don't hide the fact that we read the dirt sheets, and it was announced on the Fightful Select. I think it was yesterday after the All-In media call with Tony Khan that Tony Khan said there was going to be some changes to the card. It came out that Rey Fenix having some visa issues, so he was not going to be able to be at All-In on Sunday, unfortunately. But Tony made it sound like he was got to figure out a way to make it make sense in the story, and he certainly did tonight with this match. Phoenix against Moxley, like I said. I didn't realize Moxley's record until tonight was 72-9 in AEW. That's a pretty damn good record.
Pretty good.
This was a fun match. It had a couple close calls where I thought Phoenix was going to pick up the win, and I thought that'd be fitting too. Maybe he gets the win, then gets beat down afterwards. But in the end, Moxley got the win after a nasty avalanche death rider from the top rope. But Phoenix kicked out immediately from that, and then Moxley got a sleeper hold in to gain a submission victory. Then the rest of Blackpool Combat Club showed up with crowbars in hand. Phoenix's partners tried to appear, but returning Ortiz comes out of nowhere and blocks them. Then Santana, returning for the first time in over a year, tore his knee up at Blood and Guts last year. Comes out to
jacked.
He's had a lot of muscle. Comes out to a big pop from the crowd. Then he starts attacking Kingston and Penta, and so does Ortiz. And then Phoenix gets dropped by a crowbar and has to be stretchered out. So what they did, that's the way to get Phoenix out of this match. It was supposed to be a 6-on-6 match with 3 surprise partners for the BCC, but now it is a 5-on-5 match. So it's Chuck Taylor, Trent, Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston, and Penta versus BCC, Wheeler Yuta, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Proud and Powerful Ortiz and Santana. So,
which
I like it.
Up until last week, when they were talking about his return, they still said there was some personal beef between Santana and Ortiz.
Yep.
And even one guy said, "Yeah, it's something they could work out." So
I think Conan said that. I think,
and obviously they did, because they realized that they could be put on one of the biggest cards of all time.
Yep.
So that could put, when that paycheck comes, that could put a lot of personal issues aside.
Sure.
I'd like the surprise. Like I said, I think Santana looks jacked.
Yeah.
Obviously, those two have a outside of professional wrestling relationship with Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, he called those two guys one of his best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And Phoenix and Penta weren't too far behind. Like that whole clique ran together.
Yep.
So yeah, we wrote Phoenix out of the story.
Which is too bad, because he's a hell of a talent. I mean, he is so good.
And when it says visa issues, the guy's trying to establish a U.S. citizenship.
Right.
So he doesn't have that done yet. So technically, if he would leave the country, he might not be let back in.
Right. You can't take that risk, especially as a family man. But I like that Ortiz and Santana are back. And what I like about this match, I was thinking about this before we started recording, is all 10 of these guys have been involved in some crazy matches, whether it be Stadium Stampede, Blood and Guts, or parking lot brawls in the best friend's case. So we're going to see some crazy shit go down on Sunday.
It's Moxley. It's Moxley and Phoenix with Kingston to boot, or not Phoenix, Penta.
Yeah.
So the high spots will be stupid.
I'm still curious how they're going to do this logistically. It's going to be interesting.
There's nowhere to pre-tape.
I mean, I'm guessing the concourse is pretty damn big in a huge soccer venue like this, but
yeah, I don't know.
We got a question here on YouTube from Darby Allen fan. Wembley Stadium is going to be nuts this Sunday. Do you agree, the Shep?
I think the crowd will be hot. Yes. Now, thinking of Stadium Stampede and being a soccer arena, there's got to be a practice field somewhere close.
You would think.
Like the NFL teams have those fields. So I could see it starting there and trickling their way back in. Maybe, Eddie Kingston coming down the ramp with gasoline and blood all over his shirt. We've seen that before, right?
Yep.
But, yeah, match took an interesting toll tonight.
Yeah, it did. When he was saying he thought he could make up for the issues, and then there's another match that got changed tonight. The issues with some guys not being able to make it and make the card better. I was kind of skeptical, but in the case of Stadium Stampede, I think if Phoenix has to be out, that this is a fine substitution.
Yeah.
So I still wondered to myself who the third surprise was going to be on BCC side. If Santana and Ortiz were going to be two of the three the whole time, who's the guy who got scrapped? I don't know.
Yeah, it probably changed 100 different times with Phoenix of late getting scrapped.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Tony's used to rolling with the punches at this time. I mean, Bryan Danielson was supposed to be a huge part of the show originally, and then he broke his arm at Forbidden Door. So, and Pac and Hayter, Jamie Hayter, were supposed to be big parts of the show. They're both injured, so just gotta, the wrestling business doesn't stop for anybody. So you gotta make do with what you got.
Drinks 47 pots of coffee and gets 2 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah, you're probably right. So we then see Renee Paquette again. I told you she's the MVP of the Tonight Show. She's shown with Sammy Guevara and other members of the JAS, or what used to be the JAS. They point out that Chris Jericho did say yes to Callis last week. Guevara says Jericho's blinded by friendship, and when your friends are in the wrong, you have to have their back. Angelo Parker says he doesn't want Guevara to make the same mistake, as he wonders if Jericho will be there for him. It's some interesting stuff. I think there's some seeds being planted here for
All Out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're getting Sammy and Jericho all out. I think something happened Sunday to make that happen. Speaking of Jericho, we got the Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho contract signing tonight, right after the backstage interview. Ospreay and Callis head to the ring. Jericho and Guevara come out to the ring. Callis says he did what he did because of Ospreay. He realized the only thing better for him than having Jericho and the Don Callis family was by ending his career. So he had to make an offer to Ospreay that nobody else could, and the clincher was offering Jericho's head on a platter at Wembley. Callis points out Jericho nearly died in England previously, and this Sunday he'll be re-decided to make sure that happens. Ospreay then questions if Jericho's taking this seriously or if it's a vanity project to say his band played at Wembley Stadium, because Jericho's band Fozzy is playing Jericho in, which I get why Jericho wants to do that for his band, but at the same time, I feel like that's going to drown out the crowd's singing of Judas a little bit, so kind of bummed about that, but I get why he's doing it. Ospreay said this match is going to change his life, and he's trying to get as much money as possible to help his stepchild go through school, which I thought that was interesting. I didn't even know Ospreay was married, to be honest.
I remember the Renee Paquette podcast he did. Mm-hmm. That's probably been close to a year now, because that was back when he was talking in the Japan lockdowns, where Japan fans couldn't cheer. And I mean, that podcast was awesome. He was real, and he talked about his missus, as he calls her, and her having a child, and how he's basically raising the child and being the father. So, great stuff from Ospreay.
Oh yeah,
I mean, yeah. The more I watch him over the last, and it's been probably about a year and a half. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable, and
I think he's the best wrestler in the world.
Well, that's hard to argue.
Yeah,
but tonight, and the way he talks, and I don't know if it's just with his accent on top of it. God, could you imagine him and MJF talking back and forth? You got to put him in the top 10, might be loose, but top 5 talkers right now on the mic.
Yeah.
Let alone what he can do in the ring.
Yep, and he brings up that his contract with New Japan comes up in 6 months, and who won't pay millions for him because he knows he's the best wrestler in the world.
Which he told on himself here, because he's always been a big pro New Japan,
right?
Because New Japan works around his schedule being in Europe.
Yep.
So he has talked about how much he loves New Japan. He loves the front office. Not saying that he wouldn't try something else for a different paycheck, but that's a little bit of a tidbit that maybe that somebody doesn't follow him as closely.
I mean, I would love to see him all elite, but in the end, I think he will resign with New Japan, which I think is the best consolation prize for AEW fans, because with their working relationship between New Japan and AEW, we can still see him over in the States a couple times a year.
Yep, and also too, not saying that they wouldn't offer him stupid money because they have it, but I'm pretty sure, I'd have to re-listen to that podcast, but I'm pretty sure he said he would never do Stanford because of the schedule.
I believe you're right. And he's been on record saying he doesn't want to live in the States. He's not a fan of big cities. So, yeah. But I thought Jericho was strong on the mic too tonight. I'm worried if he can keep up Sunday, but I will say Jericho tells good stories. So Jericho congratulated Ospreay on what he's accomplished, but points out he wouldn't have done that without him. He called Ospreay 5 years ago and told him to tone things down to have the longevity, because he knew what Ospreay would be before anyone. Jericho points out that this match has been in the works for years, and this is the biggest show of his career, bigger than any WrestleMania, any Tokyo Dome, anything. It means more to him than anything else, as he's coming at it from the top of the mountain. He then tells Ospreay to prove it to him, tells him not to regret stopping him from being in a wheelchair. Ospreay then smacks the microphone out of Jericho's hand. Jericho then smacks Ospreay in the face so hard you can see a handprint on Ospreay's face, and they're pulled apart by security, as it was a bunch of extras, including the guy who played Leatherface last week.
True, but there was one guy we missed. There was no Turbo.
No Turbo.
No Turbo, which
no Turbo tonight.
I think he shows up on Dynamite on Friday if I read the dirt sheets correctly.
Or Rampage.
Rampage, sorry.
Rampage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He shows up Friday night.
It was that's interesting too because they're taping Collision tonight too, I believe.
Well,
so Punk and the Bucks were in the same building tonight.
You have to tape Collision tonight because
yes,
there's no way you can do it logistically.
Right. I'm just saying with Punk and the Bucks in a same arena, that's not a pay-per-view. Kind of interesting.
Those guys cash big checks. They need to put that 7th grade drama BS. By the way, speaking of that, let's talk about something cool. I just poured my annual
Kettle
1. Listen, I drink a lot of this stuff, probably too much, but I really enjoy it, and I drink it every week on one of the top 50 podcasts in the UK, Australia, Canada, everybody but the States. Good thing you're from Holland. Give me a free T-shirt. I'll wear it. Give me a hat. Send me a bottle. Send me a koozie. Just retweet our stuff. Come on.
Yeah.
There's my rant for Kettle, by the way.
Love it. We then got some tag team action, tornado tag team action, I should say. Darby Allin and Nick Wang versus AR Fox and Swerve Strickland.
And this was a swerve, in my opinion.
No pun intended, right?
Well, I mean, cheap pop.
Darby, man, I say it every time. The dude.
That cannonball he did against the announcers.
Oh my God!
Why was the announcers down there tonight?
I don't know why they were down. Maybe it's just how the building's set up. I don't know.
Well, it didn't look like that small of a building.
I don't know. Yeah, I was in Duluth, Georgia tonight, which I think is where Cody Rhodes is from.
Well, it's a suburb of Atlanta.
But. Yeah, but yeah, that one got me. I was like, oh my God! And my wife was on her phone. She's like, what? I said, wait until they show this replay. And she goes, does he do that stuff all the time? I said, yes. Yes, he does.
Swerve caught him really good there.
He did.
He did.
Swerve's a very safe worker. But there was a lot of spots, not just Darby tonight. I mean, Swerve, AR, Nick Wayne, they all did some crazy spots tonight.
The double Wayne's World off.
Oh, my God.
Off the top to the floor was.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure Nick broke his nose tonight.
Yeah, he got busted open. His mom was shown in the crowd tonight. Again, the kid's getting better and better. I mean, we knew he would, but you can tell he's getting more comfortable with being on national television every week.
Yeah. Remember, he's 19 years old. He's been doing this.
18.
I thought he was 19 now. Anyways, he's been doing it since he'd been on the indies since he was 16.
Right.
So he's got a little bit of experience. Now he's just got to get used to being around the big crowd. So.
Right. And he finally got a pinfall win in AEW tonight. He hooked the legs of AR Fox, and Darby stopped Swerve from getting involved. So they picked up the win, which I thought Swerve and AR were going to get the win tonight. So I would have been wrong if I was predicting that. After the match, Swerve got on the microphone. And he's doing an evil laugh. He's such a good heel. Evil laugh. Says he's so disappointed. He's disappointed in Fox. He questions why Fox blows every opportunity. And he says he tries, but questions why he's such a loser. Swerve then says this was all a test, and he can't trust Fox if he can't beat an 18-year-old kid in Nick Wayne, so he can't trust him at Wembley. And Prince Nana fires him as Brian Cage comes in and wipes AR Fox out. However, Darby, Nick Wayne, and Sting appear and chase those guys away. Allen then says he still owes his career to AR Fox, and they shake hands. And then Darby's asking Swerve, okay, so who do you got for Sunday? We then see Christian Cage and Luchasaurus appear. Christian Cage leaning into all the social media buzz for months, how he always goes after the talents with the dead fathers. He leans right into it, points out that Nick Wayne's father is dead and he is a talentless hack and doesn't have much to live up to. Tells him to stay away from Wembley or he will see the coffin door close on someone else he cares about. He went there.
He did, but at first you would think Christian Cage would have been Brian Cage would have been the opponent, and I'm right. Like, okay, so we got Sting and Darby and versus Brian Cage, who's big old muscle guy, and Swerve. I'm like, okay, and then you had Nick come down. So now you got 3 of them, and they join AR Fox, and you're like, okay, now we're gonna get 4 versus 2, and then Christian Cage and Luchasaurus come down. Like all of a sudden, now to me, I thought this was gonna be a 4-way match.
Which I'm glad it's not, because I'm like, we have so many multi-guy matches already on the card. I'm like, I don't want another huge tag match. So
I know you say that, but I'd almost rather see that match.
Would you?
Yeah. Reason being, it's going to be all over the place. And I don't know, maybe this is just me being, you can call me a mark, I don't give a shit. I think AR Fox deserves to be on this show.
I do too. I read on Twitter they think travel issues with him is why.
He's got warrants.
I don't know, but I sure hope it's an issue like that, because if not, it's pretty crummy that TK changed the matchup, because AR deserved it, and just the way everything went down, he's got to be one of the ones TK was referring to yesterday on the media call.
He deserves it, and I think Nick Wayne should be given the chance to prove himself on a stage like this.
I still think he gets involved, and Brian Cage or Luchasaurus gets involved. So
I could almost, I don't know, I almost feel like I'd rather have an 8-man tag than what we're getting, but
it's just interesting to me that Christian Cage now was in like AEW's version of a Buried Alive match earlier this year against, at the time, Jungle Boy, and now he's gonna be in a coffin match. Just kind of, I don't know, that's kind of interesting.
We haven't seen him, perform in a while, so
we haven't. Well, he was on Collision not too long ago. But yeah.
So talking about Christian Cage, is there a chance somebody cost him a match in the largest professional wrestling show of all time?
Could you happen to be talking about a guy named Adam Copeland, aka Edge?
Adam Copeland, yeah. Heard he got some time on his hands.
It sounds like he is legit, most likely done with WWE, and that match against Sheamus on SmackDown was his last match. I want to pull up the report because I don't want to get this wrong. It was reported today by Pro Wrestling Torch, reported that Edge had approached WWE recently and presented them with a scenario that would lead to him re-signing with the promotion. It is unknown what Edge's requests were, but whatever it was, WWE would ultimately reject it. As a result, the promotion now believes that Edge will be AEW bound and that they are aware of what Edge could make with the rival promotion.
So instead of getting your release, being fired, and having a 90-day non-compete clause, if you let your contract expire with Stanford, the next day you're free to do whatever the heck you want, correct?
Correct. But here's where it gets interesting. And Edge is really good at blurring the truth, especially on social media. It's been reported that Edge has said that this was the last in-ring match on his contract, but his actual contract doesn't run out till the end of September. If that's the case, we won't see him in AEW until end of September or October. But, like I said, his contract could be done right now, and he could be just saying that and show up Sunday.
So
if and when he does show up to AEW, if it's Sunday, if it's next Sunday at All Out, if it's later on in the year, Tony's got to pay up the money for Metalingus, right? It's one of the best wrestling themes of all time.
You do, but he's got to go by Adam Copeland, right?
Yes, he cannot go by Edge, but I think you have to have that theme song. I mean, that's so iconic. It
is. And maybe his first song out is that song, just so everybody knows him.
Yeah.
And then you gotta introduce his own identity as Adam Copeland.
But could you imagine if he does show up Sunday and to that song, that place would blow up.
Well, correct. And it could take some wind out of it afterwards. I would hate to if that's the truth, I'd hate to be the guys that have to go on after him.
Yep. Well, and you know Tony Khan has FU money, and he will throw FU money at Adam Copeland, aka Edge, just to say he's got Edge, Christian, and the Hardys under his umbrella.
Yeah.
So, and you know, if and when Edge does become all elite, I don't think it's going to be a 3-year deal or anything. It could probably just be a 1-year deal, and he has one last run, and maybe it's only 4 or 5 matches. But that'd be cool with me. Just to see him in a different promotion, see him do some things either with or against Christian, maybe against the Hardys or some other veterans. There's a lot of young talent he might want to work with.
Yeah, you know, I know we got some Edge and Christian versus each other in WWE, but you know, Christian left and went to the NWA/TNA and got his true singles run.
Right.
As what with Mr. Charisma or something, right? That was his
Captain Charisma, and it was Christian Cage. He went by there too. So.
Yeah. So, and you know what? He went on and did his own and became a world champion. So,
Yep.
I'd like to see Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean,
and they have. I mean, the history goes back.
Yeah, they're best friends. They're legit best friends. Yeah.
So
and Edge is good friends with Jericho. I mean, there's a lot of his good buddies in AEW. So and if it wasn't for AEW, he wouldn't have came back to WWE. Tony was the first person to talk to him about returning, and then he went to Vince and said, "Hey, here's what AEW's offered me." And then all of a sudden, Vince got him cleared like that, and a plan was for him to come back to the Rumble. So.
Now, did you watch the documentary of his comeback?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when he made a comment, WWE sent him a ring and he set it up in a building? You remember who he worked out with?
FTR.
FTR.
Yep.
Especially Cash Wheeler.
Yep. Which Dax made a comment earlier this year on, I think it was on when this podcast was still going, that Christian and Edge versus FTR wasn't out of possibility like a lot of people thought. And that was earlier this year. So he knew something. We need something. So, speaking of FTR, good segue there, Shep.
There you go.
We saw a sit down with FTR and the Young Bucks tonight with Renee once again. And they're talking about their upcoming match on Sunday. And then kind of this is the rubber match. This is the third of the trilogy between these two teams. And they pretty much go back and forth saying who needs this win more, what it mean for the legacy, for the tag team titles. And then we see Matt Jackson towards the end really throw. This was vintage Young Bucks. This is something we hadn't seen in a while. I kind of like this. Said that when they hang their sneakers up, people will give them their flowers for being the best team to ever compete, while they will say FTR are the guys they named on their YouTube show. Then Dax and against that said the Bucks had to use their name to try and get on their level, but in front of 80,000 people, they will crack their foundation at Wembley Stadium.
Good stuff by both.
Was. Yep.
Anybody watch Cash's face during this? And this is no pun intended. He looked like he'd kill somebody.
Cash is an intense. He's the silent one out of the two, but I wouldn't want to mess with either of them.
Well, don't
if I had
silent assassin.
No. If I had to mess with one of them, though, I once again don't want to mess with either one. I would try to mess with Dax, I guess, because you remember Cash went after that guy, rightfully so, that attacked Bret Hart years ago, and I mean he can go.
Not making light of Cash's situation, which
right,
we all know.
Right.
He obviously got into a road rage incident and flashed a firearm.
Yeah. Not smart.
Not smart, not condoning it by any means, but obviously don't piss the guy off.
100%. 100%.
Obviously, hopefully that doesn't affect. Obviously, leading in that week, everybody was questioned, and Tony took a lot of calls on his media call.
Yes, he did.
Questions on that media call about the situation, and Tony said, "Hey, look, we're monitoring closely, but it doesn't, as of right now, it doesn't look like it's going to affect All In London, because I'm guessing those guys are getting on a plane tonight, if not first thing."
Yeah, they wouldn't have done tonight's segment if they had any worry about that match not happening on Sunday. Now, after Sunday, that's another question. I mean, we got to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
So it was.
Now, hold on. It
Yep,
happened
go
in
ahead.
Florida, correct?
It happened in Florida, and it happened in late July. But it sounds like now they couldn't get on record if Punk, Harwood, or Tony knew about it before this past weekend, but everybody else found out about it this past weekend and were pretty shocked around AEW.
Man, you think TK knows any prosecutors in Florida?
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he knows some in every state, but especially Florida.
Well, you think he knows a guy named DeSantis that could probably help him out?
Yeah, very well.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, DeSantis is kind of busy nowadays, but
Yeah, he's got a campaign to run, but
he could make a phone call.
Yeah, he could make a phone call. It was 9:30 Eastern time at this time, so then we got the lone women's match tonight, Ruby Soho versus Sky Blue. Internet loves Sky Blue. IWC loves Sky Blue. She's getting better and better, but she has trouble picking up wins. Ruby Soho gets the win tonight after hitting the No Future and then Destination Unknown. Ruby Soho has made it clear she is going after Chris Statlander's TBS title, which I believe it went by so fast. The match previews tonight. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that match is at All Out. Did I see that correctly?
Yes.
Because so is Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin for the
Correct.
TNT title. Yes. Okay.
So you got 2 matches for All Out already.
Yep. And we'll get a bunch next Wednesday, I would presume.
Yeah.
Yep. Next Wednesday and maybe next Saturday at Collision, because all next week Chicago. Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Chicago. Next week. So still crazy to me that they're doing back-to-back pay-per-views, but a week apart. But hey,
more power to
them. We then got the main event tonight, which I understand from a story perspective why this was the main event, but of all the matches, it still kind of surprised me this was the main event. Aussie Open defending the ROH tag titles against Jeff and Matt Hardy. I thought this was a fine match. I thought this was Jeff's best AEW match, maybe throughout his short AEW run so far. It looked like he's finally getting his confidence back tonight.
It is. I thought it was shorter than I thought, but it made everybody look good, and it got the point across. So,
yep. Well, and I totally skipped over this part in my notes, so we'll get back to the main event in a second. But I forgot about this because they made a different entrance than usual. The Acclaimed came out without music or anything. They demand that House of Black come to the ring and fight. House of Black lights went out. They made their entrance. They started beating down the Acclaimed 3-on-2, and then Billy Gunn comes out to probably the biggest pop of the night, makes it 3-on-3. And he said, he was good with stepping away and everything, even though leaving his career and Anthony and Max was 2 of the hardest things he's ever done. He was fine with it until the House of Black attacked and hurt one of his kids and then destroyed his boots because they pissed on his career that he's built for 32 years, and he's ready for one more time at All In. He will take everything from the House of Black, and he said at All In, it's House of Black versus the Acclaimed, and not Daddy Ass. There's a badass coming to London. His name's Billy Gunn.
I like this because he paused and he said, "Look, it's not going to be me. It's not going to be Daddy Ass." And you're thinking, all of a sudden, he gave you like 10, 15 seconds there. And like, oh man, who are we gonna get a debut? Are we gonna get somebody? And then all of a sudden he come back and he said, "This is gonna be the badass Billy Gunn," which I love that.
Yep. I'm all for it. I was hoping we were gonna get this at All In. I thought they might save for All Out, but I'm glad we're getting it All In. I think these talents deserve it. They're all some of the better talents in the company. So. But yet now back to the main event, Aussie Open versus the Hardys. Aussie Open, they don't, as an act, they don't wow me, but they are solid in the ring. Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis are two of the better ones. And glad Mark Davis healed up so fast because I thought that was going to kind of screw everything up when he got injured a couple months back. But in the end, Aussie Open is victorious, retaining the ROH tag titles after they hit a huge double team on Jeff. And then they dropped him down the mat. So Jeff took the pin tonight, which I was kind of surprised Matt didn't. After the match, Aussie Open claims they will still be the champs after Sunday, baby. This leads to MJF and Adam Cole come to the ring to face off with the champs. They begin brawling, which ultimately leads to them trying for a double clothesline and a kangaroo kick. But Aussie Open gets out of the ring. And then, before that, MJF or Cole's trying to go for a kick on Fletcher. And he misses and almost hits MJF. MJF catches it. They stare each other down. MJF holds the title up to his face, gives him a shoulder bump, goes out, reaches in his pocket for the diamond ring. Cole's kind of ready for it, and then he changes his mind and they hug it out. So still more teasing back and forth as we go off the air.
Keep it going.
Yep.
Keep it going.
Yep. Keep us guessing. That's what I like. Keep us guessing. I don't like when my pro wrestling is too predictable. So overall, I thought it was a very fun show tonight. With that said, Shep, let's go Wrestler of the Night, then we'll go ratings. So Wrestler of the Night, you go first.
So I had a couple. Actually, I had three. I wanted to go Moxley because I thought that was a really good match, and he adapted to a luchador style. And then I watched the Ospreay segment, and I'm like, dude killed it, knocked it out of the park. And then I'm thinking, honorary Wrestler Night had to go Terry Funk.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go nothing against Moxley and Phoenix. I thought it was a great match of two guys that you are contrasting styles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it showed how adaptive Moxley could be to a luchador. And
I feel like Mox doesn't get the credit for in-ring like he deserves.
Moxley gets shit on.
Yeah.
Especially by your purist that he can't perform, and then you put him with an athletic performer like Phoenix, and we had a 10-minute entertaining match.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to make a change because we don't have written rules, right?
No, we don't. We write them as we go.
My honorary Wrestler of the Night, R.I.P. Terry Funk. My performer of the night is Will Ospreay. And I can't wait to see more of Will Ospreay.
Yeah, place is going to go nuts for him Sunday. It's going to be awesome. I'm concerned that can Jericho keep up. But, hey, Jericho proves me wrong all the time at his age, so maybe he'll do it again. I like both your picks. I'm going to go Nick Wayne just because he got the roll-up victory, even though I thought Darby was a little more of the star in that match tonight, but I thought all four guys brought it in that match. It was a match, at first I'm like, okay, this will be good, but why are we doing this with three of the four guys we're going to get on the pay-per-view on Sunday? But then it all made sense in the end. So, yes, I will go Nick Wayne. Now for your rating tonight, which Paul never gave me a rating. He gave me predictions, but never gave me a rating tonight.
Yeah, it's because Paul's Paul. Great show. Love the storytelling, the escalation that we're getting towards this weekend. I would think if you had a handful of people on the fence whether they're going to spend their hard-earned money on this pay-per-view, after watching this show, they're spending their money.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, one of my higher ratings, and maybe it's because it's leading into an all-time pay-per-view, but I'm going 8.7.
Ooh, 8.7. That might be your highest.
I think it is.
Yeah,
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah, like I stated in the opening, I thought this was one of the better, if not AEW's best go-home show, and they needed it. The build-up to All In got crapped on by a majority of the IWC, and I can see some of the points. Some of the stories haven't been given enough time to marinate, but thought they add some good wrinkles into some tonight, and And, they can't complain about the late edition match of the trios titles tonight because that story's been going on for months. So they can't do that. I really have no complaints. It wasn't high enough to get in the nines. I feel like it's got to be pretty much amazing to get in the nines for me. I'm going a little lower than you, but not by much. 8.5. 8.5, which I feel like is a really good score. So really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Are you ready to get in predictions? I say we skip no Cody Rhodes segment this week.
Yeah. The Cody Rhodes segment. I saw a little bit tidbit of it.
Yeah, Monday didn't do much for me.
And I think we're going to be pretty quiet with Cody until October, leading into Survivor Series.
I agree.
I think you're going to see him feuding with Judgment Day and dealing with those guys for the next month just to bide his time too.
Yep, I agree with that. I did have to laugh tonight when I told my wife, because she didn't know who Will Ospreay was. I said, in my opinion, he's the best wrestler in the world. She goes, well, Cody Rhodes says he's the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
I said, yes, he did say that. And I said, Cody's very good, but I said, if I had to put those two up against each other in ring, I'm taking Will Ospreay.
I mean, eventually we're going to get Ospreay Danielson, right?
Oh, you got to.
Eventually.
I just hope Brian can stay healthy. That guy, man.
I mean, that was a fluke incident.
It was. And they said he's going to be there Sunday. So he just won't be wrestling. So. All right. Let's get into our predictions. Let me bring up some graphics here. Well, we got the buy-in match, the ROH Tag Team Title match. Aussie Open versus Better Than You, Baby, MJF, and Adam Cole. I will start off with Paul has Aussie Open for 2 points.
Wow. Hold on, I'm getting my pen to work here. Paul, I like the pick, but I'm going to have to disagree with you, Paul. I'm going MJF, Adam Cole, baby, for 1.
Wow. Okay. I am going with Aussie Open for 4. I don't know. I something's gonna happen in this match. I just can't see MJF and Adam Cole holding ROH titles. I
think it escalates the story for the later in the night.
Yes.
For the main event.
Yes, I do too, but I just hope. I don't think Tony would do this, especially in a buy-in, like a pre-show match. I hope we don't get like some sort of turn in that match.
Well, think about it. What a smart move by Tony, where he gets the 2 main eventers to get on the buy-in match.
Yeah, never been done before that I recall.
And maybe he's thinking in his mind, if I get the 2 main events on the buy-in match, maybe I could pick up some pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
Especially if those guys win the tag titles and realize they got to fight each other in a couple hours.
Yep.
Oh, well, shoot. I want to watch the free match. Now I'm going to spend $49.95.
Yeah. He's a businessman. I just hope, and I always hope this for any performer, I hope neither one of them gets hurt. Could you imagine that? If one of them got hurt in that match and then I don't know what you do. I don't know how you pivot. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that, but that would be my main concern.
If you pivot, you have to pivot it into the CM Punk Joe match, which I still don't understand, but
I'm glad you brought that up. That's the next one on the card for our predictions because it's for, like the graphic says, it's for the quote-unquote real world championship. CM Punk, Samoa Joe.
Which is the AEW championship with Punk with a spray-painted X.
Yes. Right over the E for Elite.
So
Paul has CM Punk for 3 confidence points.
CM Punk for 3, huh, Paul?
Yep.
All right. What do you got?
I have CM Punk for 9.
Wow. I have CM Punk 4-9.
I just don't see any way he loses this. To me, it's setting up for Punk versus either Cole or MJF next weekend at All Out for unification.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks without much of a story, but there still is kind of a story there.
Sucks for a week buildup.
Yeah, but that's where I'm seeing this going. I just can't see Samoa Joe not only holding ROH TV title and the AEW Real Championship, but that just doesn't make sense to me. Nothing against Joe, but okay. Next up, Chris Jericho versus Mr. Will Ospreay. And Paul has Will Ospreay for 9.
I have Will Ospreay for 10.
I do as well. I see no way in hell he loses this match. He needs it more than Jericho. Jericho's got a losing record this year. Jericho's been putting over younger talent. Ospreay's in his home country. Makes too much sense.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. I think it'll be. I think Jericho goes 20 to 25 minutes. Not going to be a 45 to 50-minute match we've seen with Omega and Ospreay. But I think it'll be a good 20, 25 minutes. And I think Jericho will – let me rephrase this. I think Ospreay can adapt and make Jericho look strong.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping happens. But obviously Ospreay in the end.
I could see Sammy costing Jericho, setting up a match for All Out. I think there's seeds there. There's seeds there. All right, next up I have Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, and Kota Ibushi, the Golden Elite versus Konosuke Takeshita, and Jay White and Juice Robinson of Bullet Club Gold. Paul has the Golden Elite for 6 confidence points.
Your turn.
I have the Golden Elite for 6 confidence points as well.
Are you serious?
All 3?
I'm gonna. Well, I would show you my paper in front of me, but that tells the rest of my picks. But yes, on my paper we have 666, which is not good.
That is not good.
We might lose that one.
We might. And once again, and it'll be interesting because we're gonna have predictions next Wednesday for All Out, assuming we get enough matches. So, and I think one of those matches on that card will be Takeshita against Omega.
Well, now hold on. If we don't, I mean, I guess we'll have to suck it up and party on a Saturday night too.
It is Labor Day weekend, so.
And just not that anybody could give 2 rats about my life. That following Sunday, I not only have a golf tournament qualifier, I have my obsessive, compulsive, ridiculous fantasy football draft afterwards that last year I watched All Out on a laptop and drafted on an iPad after I played golf, after I was about a bottle of vodka deep. So
I have a similar situation. I have a fantasy football draft next Sunday as well. We still don't know what time. It's not in person because there's guys from different states all over. But I don't know what time. And I do not have the golf next Sunday, but next weekend's the start, or technically week 1 of college football. That's always a big week of my life. So, yeah.
Well, I mean,
we got a lot going on.
Next Saturday night, we could.
Yeah, we could.
Hopefully, Paul heals up and. Never mind. I won't say what I want to say there.
We'll be nice to Paul tonight. We'll be nice to
Paul. Make sure his Midol kicks in and he's feeling better. I mean Tylenol.
Tylenol. We then have the Stadium Stampede match, which we learned tonight's 5-on-5. So you got returning Santana, returning Ortiz in the BCC Wheeler Yuta, John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor and Trent, and Eddie Kingston and Penta. And Paul has the BCC for 1 point.
Wow.
What say you, Shep?
I have the BCC for 8.
I'm right there with you. A little higher. I have the BCC for, or I'm right below you, but I have the BCC for 7. Excuse me, 7. So, yeah, I mean, I think just story wise, the BCC can't take another loss, can they?
No, and it just extends the story um, of Claudio and Kingston, but it gets them to the next ROH pay per view where they could go head to head, and now we're going to see Kingston involved with the BCC because of Santana Ortiz. So it just extends that a little bit.
Yep, 100%.
Because eventually we're going to – I really do think eventually we're going to get Eddie Kingston as an ROH champion. I really do.
I hope so. Guy deserves it. I mean, it's cool that he has New Japan gold on him, but he deserves something else as well.
And I bet I would bet $1 that he comes down the ring with that New Japan strong title.
He should.
On Sunday.
He should.
Or Sunday.
He should. I don't have the updated graphic for this match because I could not find it. And it's probably out there now, but I haven't checked since we've been live on air, but that's all right. Anyways, it's the casket match, Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland, and now Christian Cage, who replaced AR Fox. Paul has taken Darby and Sting for 10 confidence points.
Darby and Sting. I got Darby and Sting for 3.
I have Darby and Sting for 8. Tony loves Sting. He was talking about it yesterday on the media call how he wants Sting to be involved with AEW as long as he wants to, as long as he feels like he can go. He talked about Sting being undefeated. This is a gimmick coffin match. Darby's never lost one of these. I just don't see him and Sting losing at Wembley. I hate that Swerve gets so many L's to his name, though. But I think, no pun intended, it would be an ultimate swerve if Darby and Sting lost. Especially with Darby going for the TNT title next week at All Out. I mean, I'd love to see Darby turn on Sting and set up a one last feud for a retirement match with Sting. But I don't see now being the time and place for that.
No, I think that's you're gonna see it for a while.
Why are you so low on that? I'm just curious. 3 points.
The reason I was so low on that on 3 points is the late addition, the late change with Christian Cage.
That's fair.
No offense to AR Fox, because I think we talked about earlier, he deserves it, but
right.
There's a reason they took him out of this match and replaced him with Christian Cage, who's arguably a bigger name, bigger star.
Oh, there's no doubt he's a bigger name, bigger star.
Now, is he a better worker, more athletic? Probably not.
Not more athletic. He can work. He can work.
But he's more well-rounded.
Yes.
As in the talking and the gimmick and the persona. Yes. So
yes.
I had it a little bit higher until they changed this match. I have a lot of scribbles on this page.
Oh, I got some too, and I'm curious how this is going to work. Do both guys have to get closed in the casket or just one? I've never seen a tag team casket match before.
I haven't either.
So I'm guessing just one, but if so, are they going to have Christian?
It had to be attacked. Anybody listening right there, chime in live on YouTube. Help us out.
I don't ever recall a caution tag team match.
Is he?
Yeah. I don't know. We have not heard from our friend Majin. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Maybe he had a little bit too much Molson Extra Dry and he went night-night a little early.
Yeah, I don't think there's any NHL stuff going on. I know that one week the draft was going on, so he listened to us later, but I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, then the latest addition to the card, the Trios Championship. You got the House of Black, Brody King, Malachi Black, and Buddy Matthews versus the Acclaimed, Anthony Bowens, Max Caster, and Daddy Ass. Let's see, Paul taking House of Black for 5.
Okay.
You want me to go on this one?
Go for it.
I am taking the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass for 5.
I am taking the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass for 5.
I mean, the House of Black's had a hell of a run with the trios. I want to see gold on the Acclaimed. I think now's the time. Give Billy one last run. It sets perfectly with the story. The Wembley will go nuts. I think it's perfect.
Yep. With the vignette of them smashing those boots or compacting those boots, and him coming back as the badass Billy Gunn. I think that, yeah. So, and it's time for the House of Black to move on.
It is.
I could see Alistair going on his own, obviously.
I'd love all three of them to go on their own.
Yeah, but I could also see Buddy Matthews and
Brody.
They make a hell of a tag team.
They do. And now, we didn't really mention this earlier with Santana Ortiz come back. All of a sudden, the tag division's starting to get stronger again. Not that it was ever weak, but
it needs to, though.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it does need to.
It does need to. So, yeah.
I will say, if the House of Black somehow retains, that's definitely going to go in Paul's favor, because that was an eyebrow raiser to me by Paul with that one.
Yeah,
I got to be honest,
because we've been pretty much on the same page until that one.
Yep. Well, and the buy-in Paul and I had Aussie Open, you had better than you, baby. So.
But I'm only 1 point.
Yep. You don't have a lot on it. So this one could be interesting. This one's always interesting when it comes to predictions. That's the women's match. This is the women's 4-way for the Women's World Championship. You got Saraya, champion Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And Paul is taking, Paul is taking Shida for 8 confident points.
Wow.
Swinging for the fences there.
This is wow. Okay, Paul. I know you're sick, bud, but did you have too much NyQuil?
I mean that's
yeah,
wow.
I thought I was taking a swing for the fences here. I'm going Saraya for 4 points.
I'm right there with you, but for 2 points. I'm taking Saraya for 2. I'm conflicted. I was between Saraya and Shida. I don't think now's the time for Britt to have her second run. Toni Storm just lost the title. I don't really like Shida being a placeholder, but Toni loves big moments. Saraya back in her home country would get a huge pop. She's been with the company for almost a year now, hasn't done anything huge. I think this is the making for a great moment.
Yep. That was the only reason. If this thing was held in the States, I would not have picked her.
Yep. If Shida retains, which would really help Paul out, I hope we get a returning Jade Cargill.
That'll work. If this happens, then I lose again because of a women's match.
I mean,
that's my motto for the last year and a half.
I don't have my girl Jade to pick. She helped me out so much in their undefeated streak because I was always going max points on Jade.
So, I know we have one all buy-in match.
Yes.
Normally have some type of Casino Royale, Battle Royale, right?
Yeah, they haven't announced anything like that yet.
They haven't announced it, but since we're talking about the women's match, if they do that, there has to be one guy they bring in that's a local for that, and that's Saraya's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember what the name he goes by over there. It was different when he was trying to get in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
I know he had some substance abuse problems, but he fixed all that, and he was killing it in Rev Pro.
Zach Zodiac.
Zodiac. And I really think he needs to show up too.
And he's been on AEW television before in the crowd.
In the crowd.
And another guy who we might see do something Sunday is I don't know if you caught this or not. Maybe you read it on Dirt Sheets. I watched some of the interview earlier this morning. Paul White hinted that he's going to be coming back soon, that his knee's healthy, and he teased Captain Insano.
Captain Insano.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be more in the States than over in Europe.
I would think so too.
Doesn't it?
But it's such a big show. I don't know. Tony might throw everything at this. So.
Well, how about this? How about they come back to Chicago? He does that.
Yeah.
And there's one guy that introduces him. Have a celebrity guest mic guy.
Adam Sandler?
Adam Sandler.
Oh, that'd be great.
Freaking
Adam does love wrestling. So
have Adam Sandler come out there and introduce him as in Captain Insano. Adam wears his overgrown dress shirts, basketball shorts, high tops with stupid socks.
Or come out with a Waterboy jersey on.
He could do that too, but
yeah.
Have him introduce Captain Insano. Would be amazing.
Got to take advantage of that. I mean, they haven't done much with that at all. So, I mean, gotta do something.
I think TK could afford the appearance fee of Adam Sandler.
Oh yeah. F you money. All right, 2 more matches. 2 that I'm really looking forward. I think both are going to tear the house down. First one's for the AEW Tag Team Championships, rubber match between these 2 teams. Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, FTR versus Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. Paul is taking FTR for 7.
Okay. I'm taking FTR for 2.
Well, this might be the decider. I'm taking the Young Bucks for 3. Changed my mind this week. Up until the Cash Wheeler news, I had FTR. The only reason I think they pivot is I think if more comes out about Cash, FTR, or at least Cash, might have to go away for a little bit. I'm not talking necessarily jail, just away from TV for a little bit. I don't know if you want your tag team champions sitting there without defending the championships. And since the introduction of Collision, I don't know, 10 or so weeks ago, AEW Tag Team Championships have been primarily on Collision. Maybe the Bucks pull their EVP cards and say, hey, we want these back on Dynamite for a little bit.
They can't manage the target. I would think if this happened in late July, the incident with Cash, if this happened in late, I'm putting the pencil behind my ear.
Yep.
If this happened in late July, Tony Khan would have already made his decision and made his changes. So he was very vague in that media scrum. So I don't think this is going to affect not that the charges against Cash are light. I just don't think it manifesting on. So
yeah.
I think we're going to bury these charges. You might hear in mid-September he plead to, a misdemeanor to 120 hours community service. And next thing you know, Cash and Dax are picking up beer cans at a local music festival. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if that happens, I hope they film it and they make a vignette out of it and they make $1 off of it. So
I would love to be the fly on the wall when these teams are constructing this match, whereas as much as they do, they might call a lot of it on the fly. And just the finish. Because, deep down, both these teams, neither one probably wants to lose. But I could see FTR being how much they love the business and everything, giving the nod to the Young Bucks, since the Young Bucks did create this company and so much else for wrestling in with the creation of this company. But I also think tonight, in my opinion, since I picked the Bucks, I thought with the Bucks winning, that might set up the Bucks versus the Guns next week at All Out. I hope we don't get interference though in this match. I just want 2-on-2. I don't want any interference, and I hope we don't get what I saw somebody suggest on Twitter. I hope we don't get like a draw.
Oh, time limit draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't pay attention much, but half the matches half the matches they announce the time limit, half the matches they don't, I feel like.
Yeah.
So.
Well, usually a time limit for a championship match is 60 minutes. I mean,
I can see the Bucks doing a Broadway. They like to do that.
Yeah, FTR did with Bullet Club Gold. So, but I think it's gonna be a great match. I'm really looking forward to it. Then our main event, the Better Than You Bay boys against each other. MJF defending the world title against Adam Cole. Paul has MJF retaining the championship for 4 confident points.
Okay. I have MJF retaining for 9.
Holy smokes. I have MJF retaining, but only for 1 point. Because this story has me hook, line, and sinkered, and I have so many different possible outcomes in my head. It wouldn't shock me if Adam Cole walks away champion. But yeah, MJF for 9, that might be a huge pull at the end of the night.
We have 3 matches that could really change the aspect of our picks.
Yes.
Which has usually come down to one. It was a double women's match, but that's because I always try to think ahead. But
yeah, the women's match, Paul, it's the women's match and the trios match are the 2 big ones. For me, it's the tag team match, both tag team title matches, really. For me, yeah. I mean, because we both agreed on MJF, but you have 9, I have 1, but still, I would get a point, I guess. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be good stuff. Gonna be fun. But I forgot I had it next to me. I better put title on because the title is not going anywhere. It is staying here throughout next week, and then after All Out. And
I think that thing could travel a lot in the next 14
It could be like the TNT title. It could be hot potatoed quite a bit. But Shep, do you want to do a quiz? I know we're just 2 of us, but are you interested in doing a quiz tonight?
What quiz you got?
I'm gonna let you pick.
Oh, geez.
I was gonna get on the website and whatever pro wrestling quiz you want, I will look it up and see if they have it, and let you roll with it. So it's a dealer's choice.
Let's go. Man, catch me off guard like that. Let's go ECW heavyweight champion.
All right, let's see.
I mean, all right,
they got it.
Just out of pure respect of the Funkster.
I like it. Let's see. They do have one. And this includes, just to let you know, the original ECW and the WWE version. So it's from 94 through 2010. Let me share my screen here. See if I can zoom in the screen a little bit for you.
So there's
39, and you get 5 minutes.
Okay.
I have not done this one, so I will not since. All right. Can you see the? Yeah, I'm trying to close these ads.
I can see.
All right. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Go.
Shane Douglas.
3 times.
CM Punk.
Yes.
Big Show.
Good poll.
All right, let's go back to ECW stuff. RVD.
Yeah, it's interesting. He only won it in WWE.
WWE, of course he did. Right. Raven.
Twice.
Terry Funk.
Shep is off to a hot start.
Let's go with Tommy Dreamer. Drew McIntyre. Is that right?
I don't think I spelled his name right. I don't think he won it, Shep.
I thought he won it right before that 3MB days or whatever the hell it was.
I might have to come back to that one. Mac in. Gosh, I don't think I'm spelling it right.
All right. Ric Flair.
No.
No, he did wrestle on that, but Raven, Terry Funk. Man, now I'm drawing a blank. Cactus Jack.
Nope.
No. Eddie Gilbert.
Nope.
No, that was before 94. Oh God, why am I drawing such a blank? Oh. Man. This one comes back and bite me in the ass. Sandman.
There you go.
Okay. That was a decent a decent pull.
Yeah. Still got a mix of ECW originals and new breed guys, so start throwing them out here.
Steve Austin.
No.
Okay. Justin Incredible.
Yep.
Lance Storm.
Nope.
No. Lionheart.
Nope.
No. Mike Awesome. Taz. Well, I'm a dumbass. Taz. Yeah.
I was waiting.
Tajiri.
No.
No Tajiri.
There's another ECW legend you're forgetting.
Oh. You're just on TV at AEW. RVD had legendary matches with him.
Yep.
RVD and what the you know when you put yourself on spot. It's
I know.
Jerry Lynn.
Well, he wasn't who I thought of, but yes, there was a different one that I was talking about.
Well, Batista? Did he go there?
No.
God, 95, 97.
25 seconds. Better just start throwing names out. Both ECW and WWE.
Man, I got nothing.
I'm disappointed, Shep. I thought you'd do good on this one.
I thought I would too.
21 out of 39. Mikey Whipwreck, Sabu. That's the one I was trying to get.
That's the one.
Bam Bam Bigelow, Masada Tanaka, Steve Corino, Rhino, Bobby Lashley, Mr. McMahon, Johnny Nitro, Chavo Guerrero, Kane, Mark Henry, Matt Hardy, Jack Swagger, Christian, Ezekiel Jackson.
Yeah,
so you got 54%. The average score is 66%.
So the Whipwreck one, I was thinking of Mikey, but I remember he was the guy that came through their developmental, and he just got his tail kicked in. I didn't know he got the belt, but yeah, that one. You got to give me a little heads up on those. But
That's all right. That's all right.
for the last 2 days, I've been focusing on these picks to take that damn belt off your shoulders. So.
And I will go out on a limb. I bet your 54% is better than Paul would have done.
Yeah.
But Paul might have done well in the WWE version of ECW.
He probably would have. I did not. I would have bet you $1 million I wouldn't have never. If you would have gave me 20 hours, I would have never picked Mr. McMahon.
Oh, I remember that
one
very well. He wore the do-rag.
Yeah.
And Umaga was his henchman. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't have got that one.
Yeah. Yeah. But there was a couple on there I wouldn't have got. I would have guessed Sabu. I wasn't sure if he won it or not. I would have, but no.
I forgot Sabu.
Yeah. But
that's
a lot of those like Christian, Swagger. I knew Kane and Chavo because Kane beat Chavo like in 10 seconds at WrestleMania one year. But I wouldn't have got no. Towards the end of the like 07 on, I wasn't watching much, so until 2011. So anything else in the World Wrestling, in particular AEW, you want to cover before we wrap this up?
No, I think we're pretty good. I'm excited for the picks this week. This weekend, I should say.
Yep.
I mean, I'm pretty curious to wake up tomorrow morning and open the computer to see what kind of dirt sheet we have because of the shows they're taping as we speak, probably.
Right.
And see if that changes any matches in London or it makes me second guess any of my picks. But, I mean, picks, it's done. But
yep.
So yeah, definitely in the morning I'll be reading that. Other than that, man, I'm excited for this weekend, and then I'm excited for the following week, and then the other weekend. Like the way they're doing this, like I know you said, man, I'm back-to-back weekends. I think it's good.
But as a huge wrestling fan, particularly AEW, I'm still paying the money both weekends. I'm not going to miss the shows. I mean, I feel like AEW has built these up all summer long with the energy and anticipation. So, I mean, it's just I'm curious what they're going to do after these two shows going forward the rest of the year. So.
Well, funny you say that, Tanner, because the first show after all this, you and I are going to be there.
Yes, and Paul. All three of us.
Oh, we got to take Paul too?
Yeah. Yeah, he's riding on top of the truck, though. He doesn't know that yet. Not in the back, on top. Top. So,
out back he could be blocked from the wind, but now he's stuck on top.
Yep. Make sure you get a used truck on the lot that you don't care that.
Wow.
I'll stop.
Tanner's going hard after Paul.
That was me. Hey, my champion vibes are coming out tonight. This gold, it just does something to you.
Tanner's a freaking heel all of a sudden.
It does something to you. So.
But anyway, actually, the first show after All Out is in Indianapolis, Indiana, and the three of us will be down there.
Last year we went. It was the first show after Full Gear. The year before I went, it was the Go Home show for Full Gear. So
yeah,
I'm glad it's a little earlier this year. Not as cold weather.
That's right, because we had to park kind of far away.
Yeah, in November, a little chilly in the Midwest here, but I just hope it's not this temperature next week or not 2 weeks from now. So.
The big thing is maybe we can go early and tailgate.
Hey,
I like the tailgate.
Oh, I'm always down to tailgate.
Yeah,
down tailgate. So
Paul's got to drive home.
That's true.
Because he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose both predictions anyway. So he's got to drive home.
Yeah, he is going to lose both predictions.
Because if I lose both predictions, I'm still not driving home. So.
I'm still. Yep. Fair enough. You earned the right. So.
All right.
That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Kicking Out Podcast. Follow us on all social media platforms. Give us a like, subscribe. We're at Kicking Out Pod on all of those. If you want to follow KOP Predictions Champion, follow at TannerLee92. You can follow Shep at TheShep27. You can follow Paul at PaulZartman921. Don't forget, KickingOutShop.com. Get yourself some merchandise. Code ALLIN for free shipping on all orders through September 10th. For Tanner Lee, got Austin Shepard and missing Paul Zartman. Join us next week as we kick out yet another podcast.